And we're back. No Steve Jaguar. He's gone home. He's had enough. But instead, I managed to find a tramp just hanging out outside the stadium. Well, he looks like a tramp, but actually he was playing the last game. It's Jamie Cross. Say hello to the people, Jamie Cross.
Hello, people. I would like to say I've just been for a shower, so I'm the least tramp-like I've been probably all day. So.
You're cleaner than me in that case.
Yeah.
So we're just getting ready for Chevron Yay versus Emo Boo. This is the second semi-final of the Open Division UK Nationals. Jamie, you've played against these teams this year. Tell us who on each team is going to do stuff that's going to make it worth watching this game.
Well, I think you, on Emo, you probably have to go for their big names. I mean, we know Joe Winder will make it exciting. We know a lot of the disc will go through Dan the Colonel Furnell. And Rich Gale's obviously back playing for them. He hasn't played against us in some of the games this year, and I think it was noticeable when he played that they played an overall good game. I think he links a lot of their offense together. And so that's who I'd look for on this first point, which Emo are starting on O.
Rich Gale and Colonel, from what I saw of Emo and Worlds, they link up very well, and that's quite frightening when you've got a thrower as good as Colonel throwing to someone as versatile as Rich Gale, who's going to beat you deep, take you under. He's there. It's lethal for other teams.
Threat,
he's an absolute double threat, despite the fact that he's not double threat size. He's not. Yeah. He's not pushing 6 foot.
And the player that's really impressed me this year is number 12. I think, is that Nathan Fox?
Tom Fox, I believe. Tom
okay,
Fox.
There we go. Tom Fox. Foxy
University of Bath.
In the box. Ah,
he is a fox in the box. He statted very highly at this tournament last year.
Yeah, and I think again this year he's been a deep threat. Even knowing that, I think teams struggle to shut him down. So it'll be interesting to see what Chevron do. First pull is up.
And it's deep. For now, just backpedaling. Ooh, that was really close. Colonel with the bravado just to clap above his head. Just assumes it was out. No one was close enough to say otherwise.
I think as a handler, you've just got to show some swagger and then be really confident about your call.
You've either got to jump and catch that at your highest point, or you've got to let it go over your head. Colonel lets it go over his head and he gains 30 yards.
Yeah, and so Chevy, it looks like a central stack, but 3 handlers.
Interesting. And they just flood one side, double up on Jacko, and get the disc moving nice and quickly.
Chevy are playing a poachy D. They don't seem to be pressuring the disc necessarily when it's with someone other than Colonel.
You can see the guys like Reese. You can see 20 Reese. You can see Mark Penny. You can see Jacko. They're pointing around the field rather than running.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a loose throw, high swing pass.
Tidied up by Harry Slinger Thompson. Mark Penny.
Yeah, I think Penny will be big for this Chevy team. He's one of their key handlers on this D-line. I think a pick has caused some trouble. Chevy on offense tend to work really hard, running from across the field and then back again, and sometimes that can cause picks when they're not quite in sync.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about the conditions during the Clapham Fire game, and they definitely affected. What advice would you be giving to these teams if you could just impart one bit of wisdom?
Well, I think the thing we talked about. Oh, and there's a flick for a goal here, is it?
Oh, yeah. Doesn't want to go up, decides to take it low, and Chevy break.
A smart move. Yeah, I think I would just say on that, as you saw the disc went up and the wind affected it. When it gets up sort of to 8-10 feet, appears to be a bit more wind. It's still down at pitch level. And so you just need to be careful with your throws, maybe cross field if they're going up into that sort of higher area where there's more wind to pick it up.
Exactly, that's where we saw the turnover as well. I think for this D-line for Chevy, Mark Penny and James Jackson are going to be, they're both guys who have got really big throws, but they need to make sure they use them properly in these conditions because they can kill a team with them or they can get a bit wild. And we saw quite a few throws in your game, just kind of a bit overzealous, and then they zip out the side of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the sort of right sideline, as Chevron are looking at the field, the downwind sideline, that's where you want as a defense to try and push the offense. That's what Chevy did to Emo on that point, and it was a turnover trying to swing it off there. And both swings off there and hucks down that sideline are going to be tricky for the offense.
And Chevy scored by throwing a lead pass down down the left-hand sideline as you're looking at Chevron.
Yeah, that's a nice place to play offense. And so a break to start, and they'll go hard again.
It's a big pull, and Colonel catches it. That's something we didn't see too much of actually in the previous game, was people catching the pulls. The pulls tended to be a bit bladier, and it makes you think twice about catching that.
Yeah, as a handler, I don't really like catching dodgy pulls. It's it's certainly tricky to do, and really appreciate players who do that.
So Chevron came out with another sort of poach his own. They had Cy Dathan just in the middle of the field looking around him, but you can hear them shouting, and they've gone to man, and now they tried to get Emo in that corner that you were talking about, but they get the mark wrong, and the disc is now on the wrong sideline for Chevron's defense. Fennell running that dump cut like an absolute pro. Ooh! Coddington just rushes his.
Yeah, it was just a little loose, and the cutter reached for it with one hand. It wasn't quite into the bread basket.
Do you think he's feeling a bit of pressure? They've conceded first point. It's their second possession. Let's get this.
It can definitely happen, and I think what you saw Dan, the Colonel Fernal, do that point was look to swing the disc into the less pressured side of the field.
Yeah, and Steve Dixon just decides, stuff this, let's play Huck and D. And Colonel skies a Rich Gale for the D.
The biggest man on the field, Dan Colonel.
Dan Fennell gets up, and how. And Coddington now finds Rich Gale deep. Oh! And he's called strip. Oh, and he's studied the disc and fallen over, but he's maintained argument throughout that action, which is superb.
Yeah. He was concentrating on the argument, not his foot placement, and unfortunately, it's not broken his concentration.
It's not put him off. Nothing flusters Rich Gale. Goal. Steve Dixon declines. I think that's the right decision. I think Gale just had it before Dixon comes over the back of him, knocks it out. I tell you what, we might want to get them to check that disc, because a full Rich Gale stud goes through.
Your eyesight's a lot better than mine, Dave. I was going 100% for a D there, but we'll say it's a goal. Both players agreed, so I think they obviously worked out what happened. Sometimes you need that little chat just to be certain as to what actually did happen.
Absolutely. So now we get our first look at Joe Winder, the big cocksure youth for this Emo D-line. Big throws, kind of like Penny and Jacko on Chevron's D-line. He's got big throws. He's the playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. He does a tremendous amount. He has got big throws, and the question is just whether he uses them at the right time. I think in most cases he does, but there's also the potential there for an unforced error.
And just jogging next to him on the D-line is his favourite target, Christian Zamore. Is a former Antiguan 400-metre sprinter.
I believe so, yeah. He's got a quick 400 time.
He's got a very quick 400 time. He's also got a very quick 60 time.
Yeah.
He's frightening when he gets going.
Winder misses the field. This is an unusual choice. He pulled from the downwind sideline, and it's gone out that side. So he didn't really make any real effort to throw it across the field, which might have been the best choice. So Chevy get a big advantage by starting on the brick, and they've ISO'd Thack, but he clears out, and Dav is now back in, marked by Bobby Zamore, as he's known.
And then when you see Dav get the disc for the Chevron team, you know the next cut is going to be Rich Coward.
Yeah, it's a great combination.
Those two have been playing together since their university days in Plymouth. They know each other inside out. It's almost like they're one being. And Bevan goes deep for Parslow. Parslow. He's everywhere. Yeah. Tom Daly lookalike Ben Parsons. Chevron. Emo doing to Chevron what Chevron had done to them in the previous offense point. It's just getting them in this right-hand sideline.
Yeah, forcing them on the downwind. Chevy quite like that. They're going to attack up the line from the reset position. They're happy usually to do that.
And Mark Gavin just with a cheeky little...
That's a gem. A little lead pass with his backhand just to Josh Kime, who started on the downwind sideline. Just nice lead pass for the goal.
You can see Dav pump fake that once, looking at Josh saying, "Do you want it?
Yeah.
Do you want?" Okay, and then Josh decides he wants it, and it's
a little reminder to Josh that that's one of Dav's favourite throws, and he got the reminder, and so he decided to cut for it, and Dav delivers. I have to say that's a quality throw, and Chevy, despite not really moving it off that sideline significantly, demonstrated that they were still able to maintain offensive structure and they didn't get crowded around the disc. And,
they do a good job actually, even if they're not moving it off the sideline. They just do a good job of just moving the disc. So even if they don't, so Daz gets that. He's not looking to swing it, but he is looking just to move it quickly. And he's got the only thing in front of him is Josh, so that's where he hits. So this D line now, if we take a look at it, we've got James Jackson, Mark Penny, Tom Cartwright, Harry Slinger Thompson, Sam Bowen, Reese Evans, and pulling is Jake Aspen.
Yeah.
I think this looks like a man line to me.
Yeah, I think Chevy love their man. They're a very hard-working, aggressive defensive team.
It's an interesting matchup with Thompson going down to mark the first round for now. It looks like it's zone actually. You can see the way Aspen's got his body turned. Looks like they've gone to tequila. Oh! And Aspen dives out into the lane, puts off the thrower, puts off the receiver, and they get. It's not a block, but they just get a cheap turn.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a miscommunication between the emo handler and his cutter, and Chevy did enough to cause some confusion. And so Penny picks up with Sam in the lane.
Sam Bowen going deep, trying to get that Rich Gale poach out of the way, but Rich sort of doesn't bite on his cut.
Yeah.
And Chevron's just forced to move it around the back a bit.
They've moved it to the upwind sideline though, and now James Jackson's streaking deep, but
Jackson comes under. Yeah, that's a good cut. Jackson goes deep for Cartwright.
Yeah, there's two of them there. Looks like
chasing.
Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake just reels that in. Tom Fox can't get close enough to make a difference on that one. We noticed a little bit in the previous game. What happens in that corner is difficult to predict. That blade actually fell out of the sky quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we saw James Barron and we saw Dave Price throw crossfield blades that actually, didn't fall. They kept good elevation. That's going to be it's difficult to predict what the disc is going to do down there. It seems to be where it's the windiest.
It's an OI flick, so it should be curving into the field, but it's fighting strongly against the wind. And I think when that curve of the disc, when the spin on the disc starts to stop, that's when it stalls and it can drop. But it was nicely timed. There was 2 chevron cutters in the region to catch it, and they've started strong. They've put their mark on it.
Right, and they've started with contrary to what we expected. They started with some zone defense, which has generated 2 breaks, and then their offense just looked totally happy putting it in. So they're looking comfortable.
Yeah.
It's actually, there's a timeout called. I'm not sure if this is a Chevy or a emo timeout. I think Chevron do like to break up the first half into games of 3.
Yeah, I think
they've won the first one.
I think the timeout's been taken off emo's side of the board. The scoreboard, as we can see, it does have some TO information on that. So I think emo are just ramping themselves up. They've come out a bit flat, a bit hesitant, and they've moved Joe Winder onto the O-line to try and remedy that. So we've not, the last point we didn't really see Colonel with the disc in his hands for too often. He tends to be a every other type player, just controlling it, and so it'll be interesting to see if emo revert to type, or maybe look for Tom Fox deep. There's it's probably a nicer direction to huck this way.
I'm expecting the pull to come up. I'm expecting emo to run a vert stack string play. Probably Colonel to hit Winder to hit Foxy is how they're going to set themselves up.
I see.
I'm calling it, yeah.
Are you calling it?
Okay,
yeah. Okay. I like that. Let's see at home. You can tweet if you want. I'm sure Dave's on tweeting as well as commentating.
I will pick up your tweets after the game, so tweet ahead.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got Dixon marking Tom Fox, so two very tall, lanky people. Yeah. Oh no, Dixon starts opposite Tom Fox and just kind of jogs down into a general space. Sam Bowen.
Out of bounds. Yeah, this Chevy sort of switchy marking some space, is it? It'll be interesting to see exactly. They've got a couple of guys, Thack and Ben Powley. Oh no, it's Matt McLaughlin and Ben Powley. Sorry, Thack. Sorry, Tash. They're with their backs to the thrower almost to start the play, and immediately Jake gets a D.
Lloyd Cheeseman tries to get that disc moving. Good name, isn't it?
It's Lloyd a great name, yes. Unfortunately, he seems to have switched off there and thrown straight into the poach.
I think there was a classic case of the cutter thought that he was playing against zone, and it was actually Jake was
Jake was
locked
moving,
in
the
on him
cutter
behind.
was stationary, and that helped. And now Bowen goes deep for
The
McLaughlin.
big target, McLaughlin. Ooh! Joe Winder. Matt McLaughlin is calm in these situations normally. This time he's got a little bit irate, but that's fine. He's now appealing to Dave Povey. These are the wailings of a desperate man. I think Winder got a little bit of McLaughlin's arm as they went up for that.
Well, we know your eyesight is better than mine.
My
Dave,
eyesight
so
is
yeah.
I can see. It's almost as if this grate isn't there.
It's a hard situation to call. So Winder's admitted his hand was on McLaughlin's back, but he says he got the disc first.
We're going to get a replay.
Oh.
Are we?
No,
No,
it's someone
there's a replay.
slowly
Someone
walking down
slowly-
the sideline. Here we go. This is exciting.
It's close.
It's very
It's
close.
very close. I think it looks like McLaughlin had a hand on that, and he's saying there was a hand on his back.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's been sent back.
Mark Penny came over to speak to McLaughlin from the sideline, and McLaughlin's taken his call away.
He's taking the score away. Good lad.
Yeah, it was very close. It was worth a discussion.
Yeah.
And Emo now have it back. That was one of those downwind sideline hucks that Chevy backed their man. Winder made a play, and this could be the difference between
Gets it back for his
4-1 and
team.
3-2. Yeah. Precision from the Colonel.
Yeah. Still got the stones. You can see the Chevron defenders looking around, pointing to. Oh, and Marky Fandango flies. Doesn't quite get that. Oh, you can see the pressure that I feel Emo feel they're under more pressure than they're actually on. They've had a couple of turns where they've moved it quicker than they had to.
They're distracted and they're on the back foot. Here's Aspin. No mistake.
Classic stack offense where they just hit the front, hit the back, but that was all open side.
Yeah.
Emo need to do a better job of stopping that. I think they all bought in pretty heavily to that first cut to the break side.
Yeah, it was a good first cut. Emo were on their heels, both in O and D. We saw the first D Jake got there, where the Emo cutter was stationary, and again on defense here, Emo were just off their man, a yard off, and that was enough for Chevy to hit 2 open passes and score the easy goal from a
yard off on the wrong side as well.
Yeah, it's not great D, and Emo are clearly feeling the pressure here.
I'm glad to see Mark Davins managed to coordinate that hat with his shoes.
Yeah.
I saw that hat at Wells, and I just thought it was a bit garish, but maybe his boots were muddy. But actually, when you see how that links up, that's fine. I think that's a well-chosen hat. And he's, makes him identifiable for us. We now know that Davin's got the bright hat.
Yeah, even
Not
with
seen-
my eyesight, I can see him from a long way away. So no one else on Chevron seems to have copied his neon moves. But
Matt Bevan is wearing a Chevron Action Flash hat that I've got, which basically can.
How old is this hat, Dave?
How old? That hat is a 2010 hat, and I think Matt Bevan has worn it to every single tournament since. So it started out black. It is now. It's now that sort of navy grey. Mark Penny's bought a hat more recently.
Yeah, well, we've all got hats in our player pack, so it'll be interesting to see how many people are sporting them at Europeans, or perhaps tomorrow. A 3-4 from Emo.
Oh, and Mark Penny! Good thing he bought that hat.
Yeah.
Just could.
And Bevan's picked
Sun
up
doesn't-
straight away, and there's a wide open James Jackson.
But he
Floating one
goes
for
to Tom
TC.
Cartwright, who comes down with
Oh.
nothing in his hand.
No, number 22 there for Emo with a big D.
That is a huge grab. Well done. So that was another shot into that downwind
Yeah.
back corner of the field. Not the best place to be shooting for goals, I think.
No, and it was a great D.
Winder
by
now
Penny.
going deep to Fox, and he's. Oh, and Foxy decides that a little bit of drama is exactly what we need. Incredible throw from Joe Winder right into his chest.
Yeah, that was a big shot from a long way down the field. He's a great target to throw to. You know that if you get it in front, no one's catching up with him.
And he can box out anything that's above him as well.
Yeah, and that's Emo's game. I think that's something they've got to look to do, to hit people like Fox, to hit people like Bobby, try and get some of their deep game going.
They've got to take their chances. And because this Chevy team will take its chances if you let it. If you don't respect this team deep, they will. That's where they'll beat you. Yeah, I would like to see Joe just pick it up and jack it to Bobby.
It's always exciting, isn't it? You know,
I've heard so much about his top speed, and I've never seen it.
No.
Apparently it's breathtaking, so stay tuned for that.
Well, we need him to make that deep cut from close to the disc, so there's enough space for him to get up to top speed. It's the slowing down I worry about. We're playing in a cage here for this Nationals game, and if he gets up to top speed, he may go through the fence.
Hopefully he'll be going away from us then.
Yeah. So here the Chevy O-line, moving it quickly again, and now Cowie to Dav.
Oh, they changed it this time.
Oh.
James Mead taking off deep like no one's business. Stands on someone's toe, apologises.
And then still beats him under.
Ben Parsons just doing his work on the open side lane.
Josh Kime coming in close, but he's really crowding the
Ben
disc
Parsons
here.
sort of jokingly shoveling the disc at Josh that he's never going to throw. Do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it?
Keeps the defender interested, I think. And now Dav's got it again, so he surveys the field to see what happens. He's got Parsons open as usual.
Works that space well. Deck Cartwright just behind him, gets two hands on it, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And Chevron's O-line has turned for the first time. In maybe their only second or third appearance.
Yeah, and then Winder's not picking up the disc.
So
might look for an early reset back to the middle, and then he can bomb it.
Yeah, I think you don't want to be, like we said, you don't want to be bombing it from where Emo are picking it up.
Oh, and Chevy are sort of poaching in this downwind open side lane. There's no mark.
A no pressure sort of defense.
Dav now moves in, but again an open throw.
Rollo sacks Dixon. Just looking upfield. He wants to go inside. Aggressive mark stops him doing it.
Here is Bobby.
Here is Bobby not going deep.
Has he got a hammer? Oh, he wanted it. He might have to throw it. Oh, and it's a flick hook, high stall.
Joe. Oh! James Mead gets above Joe Winder to put him off his jump, but just behind him.
Yeah, there was contact on that, and I think
Winder I think there was a call.
Have called something if his backup player had not made that play. So the score now is 4-3. That's a break for Emo. They're back in the game. And I think what we might see now is Chevron just looking to keep working it quickly. Maybe a little more focus on getting it off that sideline. They do like to go from side to side across the pitch on offense. They're generally happy with the disc being on either sideline. And so the veterans are out now. Bevan, Thack, and Dav and Cowie are all out there, along with Parsons, Mead, and Kime. So plenty of energy, but also some smart heads.
That was Ben Poole with the follow-up grab there, and I think he was the guy that made the catch down in the earlier on over Tom Cartwright. So let's assume, I don't know for sure if it was. Let's assume it was Ben Poole having a great game. Well played, Ben.
Yeah, I think it might have been number 22. Have we got?
There is no number 22 on the roster.
22. That is classic rostering.
Some of the complaints will be false.
And a big shout out to Tash Nishiyama. I hope she's watching on the stream, watching Thack playing here. They've got a baby due in 6 weeks, and that's the only reason she's not playing. Cowie now with a disc marked by Bobby. He's going to have to reset it. James Mead, nice swing across to Josh Kime.
Lovely around break backhand from Mead. Those release points are just killer. As you're a mark and you're trying to stop him getting that backhand out when he's releasing it an inch off the floor, it's so difficult. He's a
personal trainer. You can see the strength in his core. Oh, and Winder has a nibble at Bevan. Chevy have worked it up now. Center it to Dav. This is a power position for them. On to Mead there, maybe at the brick mark. And a flick to the front cone.
Parsons just has to come out of the end zone for that. It's not what Mead would have wanted.
But he gets it again.
And Dav just sort of takes his guy into the back of the end zone, jinks him around, and then when the space opens up, he just attacks it.
Yeah.
Tremendous sort of...
He's got a big stride, and when he moves that first step quickly to get in front, no one's coming back inside him. No. We saw Richard Harris do that earlier in the other semi-final, where he used his width to help get a lead pass from Stefan to score a goal. It's an underrated ability and one I'm sadly lacking.
Well, we actually saw Joe Bolton man of similar frame to you, just hold off Rich Harris in the air, which is I guess that's the next level up of this frisbee superpower.
Well, it's something I don't think I'll get in my career. So, but Joe's had it for a long time. He played a great game, and that was a particularly impressive grab.
That was good. So for now, just scuffing the line, just probably thinking about what he's going to do. Captain of the O-line, well, no, Povey's captain of the O-line, so he puts his hand up.
I'd imagine that Colonel, like most good players, has a little mental routine he goes through before every point.
And the Darlism. And Chevron looked like, it is man. Kind of looked like they were happy to poach in the lanes again.
Yeah, I think against Fernal they'll probably look to try and reduce his options, being such a big threat.
You don't want to give Fernal the full field to look at.
No.
You want to get someone right in front of him and say... And I think you also, with Emo, they've got a lot of really, really good pull plays which they execute well. And you just want to take those away and make them... Don't let them score in 3 passes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of these... a lot of Chevron's defensive sets are designed to do.
Yeah, I think Emo are quite like Clapham in that, in terms of quite strong structure that they look to use and that they drill well. And so Chevy use this type of defense against both teams. Is that a pick?
No, that's Benedict Poole getting another point. Well done, Ben. Almost exactly the same sort of point as Chevron scored.
Absolutely. They're both teams are forcing down to this sideline, and they need to do a little better job of stopping that cut out the stack. When you're that close to the end zone, there's no real threat of a deep cut. There isn't enough space to use, and so you've got to take another little step inside.
Use your body to protect the open side.
Yeah,
trust the
absolutely.
mark. So Chevy 5-4 up, going out on offense.
Yeah, they're maintaining this. They started on D, but they got a couple of breaks early to give them this lead, and if they can trade out from here with the second half starting on O, they'll be very happy with their first half performance. Yeah. But there's still another. They still need another 3 to half, so there's plenty of ultimate left.
They look relaxed when you compare the Chevy boys to the Emo boys on the line. They just look a bit more relaxed. Bevan's walked off the line before the pull's even gone up. That's how.
Do Chevron just have baggier shorts? Oh, and he's touched that.
He's touched that, and just kind of sprinting to get in.
He's going to have to play this from the side. He initially looked to hurry, but the Emo chase was strong, so he's now slowed it down. Chevy will start in 3-4 with their cutters. Well, Dav, as the cutter in front of the disc, is also
Joe Winder.
In
Just look at Joe Winder here. He's just gone nowhere near Bevan, and he's helping Wolverson out. Kime Hucks to James Mead, who goes up.
Oh, that's a big grab. He read that well. He took it with his left hand.
And he goes big to Deck Cartwright. But Deck Cartwright's got Sax Dixon on his shoulder. Ooh! Deck Cartwright had that in his hand, and he let it go.
Yeah, he got up really well. Sax Dixon had not timed his jump, and so that probably has to go down as job. And
then there goes
Bobby's gone.
Bobby opens
his leg. Top speed. This is top speed, but it's not fast enough.
Joe Winder with more powerful throws than Bobby's got glutes.
Yeah, I'm not sure Bobby had set off there.
No, I think Joe picked it up and threw it.
Yeah, I think you probably just want Bobby. He's going to beat Dav in that foot race.
Getting a second look at this of Deck Cartwright. I think Deck gets a whole hand on that, and it just spills.
It came out funny. It almost looked like the Emo defender Sax Dixon got his hand to it. Maybe just in time to...
Maybe they both got it at the same time.
Yeah. So it was good D. I think he put him under pressure.
But good ups from the shorter offense players to even get a hand on that. I think
and Chevy now in a better position than they got the pull to start this possession.
Oh, and a spicy number. Oh, Tom Daly dives and catches that.
Yeah. That was from the high board, was that? Or the low board?
That was from the low springboard.
And he'll be cleaning rubber crumb out his Speedos for pretty much the rest of the evening.
But not his hair. And you can just see Matt Bevan is poached.
Oh, and that's the throw.
And Josh Kime has been tempted to throw the cross-field blade.
Yeah, he should have thrown a hammer, really, in that situation. I think a lead pass hammer is the throw of choice.
I think when you're throwing across the field, you want something that is going to come down. When you throw that flat throw, the wind is going to take it. If you throw something that's
Yeah.
got a finite...
That went up really high. That went up above this big green cage, which is probably up at 20 feet, maybe. Is that 20 feet?
Sure.
It's a big one.
That's high.
And so Emo will now start, maybe level with their brick on the downwind sideline. Chevy have got Deck Cartwright as a deep poach. They're obviously...
It's the poach set. It's the poach set again for
Yeah.
Chevron. You can just see Dav kind of jogging around.
Oh, and it's Winder now, and he fakes that. He
He
took
lifts it off.
2 Chevron defenders with him that time, Bobby, but Emo haven't managed to find the poach player.
So we talked about this in the Clapham game. We're seeing quite a lot of handler defenders just leave their man, get in the lane. In these conditions, you know, those short throws can be quite difficult. The wind can make it bobble.
And I think
We're seeing it here as
particularly
well.
when the player you are leaving open is further towards the downwind sideline, it's a good defensive strategy.
And when you have players like Fennell and Winder on the disc, just get in that lane, stop the immediate throw, protect your end zone, make them take another pass.
So Emo are moving again. They're
Just kind good dump shot down D from Kine.
Yeah, Parsons was moving around a little too much on the mark. He sort of followed him round and wasn't able to hold it. Winder goes deep. Bevan let him. Again, Cartwright is
And
poaching
Bevan's going to
deep.
fly. Oh! Matt Bevan rolling back the years, and Caesar picks up and hits Bevan for the bookends.
Yeah.
That is...
And Winder's toys have left the pram.
Repeat.
This is a smart move by Caesar. He knows Winder's already frustrated that Bevan gets the D. Bevan, if he then scores the point, he knows Winder might maybe get a bit too pumped up. We've seen him already throw one huck too far.
What a block by Matt Bevan, though.
Yeah, that was
Absolutely
sick.
incredible.
I hope. Did we get that on the replay?
We just
there?
missed the replay, but
Okay, I'm playing it back in my head. That was sick. He wasn't quite shoulder height, but he snuck one out of his pocket. It was a great play.
From the position we're in here, I could see Bevan just baiting it that little bit. He knows that Winder is big for this line, so he just gives him that extra half yard, and then puts the jets on.
Yeah.
And as soon as that disc goes up, he's fully committed and he gets the block.
Yeah, you can often know that given a player's status that his teammates will throw him the disc, he will expect the disc, and so Bevan plays smart there, just baits it a little, lets Emo think that they've let one of their main players go free, and
bang.
Yeah.
And the devastating thing about that as well is that Emo, the D-line had the disc, they're moving it well, and 5 seconds later, offense is walking on the field.
Yeah.
They've been scored on. One pass.
And that was to tie it as well. That would have tied the game at 5-all. It would have been a big break for Emo. And so now Chevy's D come tearing down the field again.
Fennell, seeing Mead and Kine's folly in the previous point, just lets it go. It's a veteran move by the man whose 31st birthday was yesterday.
Ah, happy birthday.
Many happy
Colonel.
returns, Dan Fennell.
I hope you had some nice fried chicken to celebrate. A special recipe, of course.
And here we see
Right to
Cowie
Gale.
just almost gets the poach block, but Rich Gale not afraid of just going up, making that catch with a lot of pressure on him. Colonel gets it up the line. Ooh! Oh! This is a style of defense this is a style of offense that the Chevron D want to play against.
Yeah.
Hard running, fast, putting that disc out there, taking their shots. The Chevy defenders are not afraid to get off their feet, not afraid to fly. I mean, when their former captain's getting blocks like that, you've got to keep up with a man who's the wrong side of 30, haven't you?
Yeah,
You've got to do it
absolutely.
yourself.
Chevy play in that style, and I think that bid there, while he didn't get the disc and maybe just distracted the cutter, he seemed to expect the D player to maybe get a touch on that, and he wasn't quite ready when it came in his general area. And so Chevy now...
Penny does a good job of getting it off the line. It's a bit deep, and there's a lot of poachers going on. They've started out with a split stack, and it just means that...
Oh, and he's looked off.
I think it means that Poole has been able... Oh, Bowen goes up over 2. That is big.
Yeah.
We saw Benedict Poole take one in the other corner over Cartwright. I think he was just out of position there, but Bowen had to take that as high as he could, and he gets the score.
Yeah, that was a great play by Sam. It had missed the original target, it floated over his head, And Chevy now open up a 3-point lead, 7-4. Chevy are pumped. Big celebrations there for Sambo.
This is a big game for Chevron. They finished below Emo in the tour this year, only having played them twice, and it was 1 apiece. They finished lower than Emo at Tour 1, but didn't play each other. They kind of played the same teams, had similar results, but came below them, so didn't pick up the points they wanted. And then kind of similar positions, similar results in Tours 2 and 3. Emo very much the upstart team in this part of the bracket, this elite play. Only been there a couple of years, off the back of success last year and some great results at Worlds this year.
Yeah, they finished higher than Chevy by, I think Chevy finished 17th in the end. They got knocked out the top 16 and then won the rest of their games. Emo made it up into the top 16, finished 15th, I believe.
So the team that knocked out Chevron was Melbourne Juggernaut, and that's the team that Emo played in their last game and beat them in sudden death.
Yeah.
So, kind of double bragging rights there.
Yeah,
Not only
absolutely.
did we finish above you, but we beat the team who beat you. And I think for this Chevron team, this is a chance to put the record straight, or what they perceive to be the record straight. For Emo, I think Emo have had a good year. They've had a good couple of years, and I think there's less I don't know if there's less at stake for them, but they don't see this as a grudge match. They see this as another step in their season. They want to qualify for Europeans, have a good showing there. They knocked off Free Speed. They knocked Free Speed, who won silver medal at Europeans. Yeah. They knocked them out of the top 16 of Worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so their eye is on a top 8 place now at Europeans, and it's got to be top 8 minimum.
Yeah.
I think if you're beating a European finalist team,
they've shown their quality, and this tournament is not only UK Nationals, but it's also the qualifier for Europeans, which happens at the beginning of October in Frankfurt. And there are only 2 places in that top 8 from the UK this time round to start the tournament. So this game not only gets you into the final at Nationals, but it identifies you as one of those 2 elite teams from the UK within Europe.
You can still finish in the elite bracket. You can still win the tournament from 3rd place at Nationals. Sorry, you can still win Europeans from 3rd place at Nationals, but you don't get that first day of power pool play against the very top teams, which kind of means you go into your pre-quarter, you go into your crossover a little shy of match sharpness.
Yeah, you've not played those top teams. You're not quite up to speed with what those teams are bringing to the tournament.
And for a team like Emo, you don't get that experience of having a day where you play Bad Skid, Free Speed, and Ragnarok or Bologna.
Yeah, they're some of the big teams from Europe, and this now is a big point, I think.
Oh, when it's a rolling
did he touch
pull.
it? It's
rolling back.
Rolled back into
there are
the field.
2 Chevron defenders on the disc before Emo even get to it. Now, there is a little bit of chat, and I don't know what it is.
Quite sure what the call is. It looked like Winder trying to stop it with his foot. He might have got a little touch on it, which
it didn't roll out, so it doesn't really matter.
No.
But Povey picks up, we're back in, and it's that poach set again. You can see Harry Slinger Thompson, Marky Fandango just standing in the open side lane, and they go big.
Povey rips it deep.
Gale
and Fox
fighting against. And Chevron come down with it. Rhys Evans.
And they're going to play quickly, and Fox is out of position. Can they take advantage? They've got it. They're now on the downwind sideline.
Sev Allen gets it to Tom Cartwright.
And only now are Emo really able to start to get the D back on.
This is the Chevy offense that we expect to see. So they've got it on the downwind sideline, and lightning quick. They just move it, pop, 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 and now they're in a place to shoot.
Yeah.
If they want to put something into the end zone, that's the sideline to do it from.
They move the disc quickly. They're now going to try and run their set. Fandango gets it in the centre field, just off the brick mark.
Nothing upfield, so he's got to have patience here. He gives and goes.
Oh, and Aspen throws it.
See, he's got yards, Fandango, and it's an easy catch. Fandango's a quick cutter.
Yeah,
and
he had a step in front. As long as he could get his body in between the defender and the disc, he was always going to be favourite.
And I think he's got a step in front. And I think his defender's thinking he's not throwing it into that back corner.
Yeah, it's tricky. And there was another Emo defender in the lane. Aspen had to throw over and around him to make that play.
We've got a replay over here. You can just see Markey throws it. He just takes off.
Emo defender poaching off Slinger Thompson, but Fandango's got steps. And
Lloyd Cheeseman giving chase. Actually, that's easy. That's actually an easy catch in the end. That's a great throw from Jake Aspen.
Yeah, Jake's had a couple of great throws this game. He's having a really nice game. And Dave Pitchler, fans at home will be wondering, is that the end of this game? Chevy have taken half 8-4. They're going to come out on 0. Can Emo get back into it?
Absolutely. It's not been. Well, Chevron have turned over a few times, but I think Emo, first of all, need to come out after half and just put in a couple of clean offences and then build something from there. It's going to have to be a heck of a second half. But they've got the talent, they've got some height, they've got some athleticism, they've got big throwers, big players. There's no reason if they don't just change a few things, be a bit more clinical with their offense, they could get this back to within 1 or 2. You know, we could see 10-11, 11-all. And
I think so,
game.
I mean, I think Chevy have played well. They've capitalised on what Emo have done. But I think mostly for me, Emo haven't played the game we've seen them play this year at now.
Yeah, I would agree. So it's half time. We'll let the players talk it over, and we'll be back in a minute. And we're back after half time with Emo pulling to Chevron. Joe Winder just sort of rocking it out on in his end zone with the disc, ready to pull. Chevron very cocksure about receiving this. I think we've got 3 hands. We had 4 earlier. They're ready to go.
Oh, and a nice Blady.
Nice Blady.
Because he fields it nicely. And
what is this?
I think it looks Manny.
Looks Manny. Kind of just just finding the players that haven't had their matchup come to them yet, and before they run their pattern, and now they get moving the disc quickly, and and Thak goes deep. Kime takes it from behind the head of his defender.
Yeah, it almost looked like Thak was throwing it to Dav, who eventually scored the goal. But Kime had got his wheels on really quick, had ran down that lane and managed to have his eyes back on the disc. His defender couldn't see it was coming, and there was no sideline help to tell him. So Chevy put it in. That's 9-4, a 5-point lead. And Emo will have to do it this point if they're going to keep their hopes alive.
So we've got Tom Fox, Lloyd Cheeseman, Rich Gale, Benedict Poole, Joe Winder, Rod Coddington, and Daniel Fennell. I mean, we haven't seen Emo execute one of their pool plays yet. I would like to see them do it, but Chevron have been doing a good job of just getting in the lane, stopping Colonel using his throws.
Yeah.
Makes it harder for Gale and Winder to get free as a first cut. Would you recommend something else? Maybe a handler weave just to get the disc moving, something, or maybe put the disc on one sideline but keep the stack on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general they wanna keep the disc on the upwind sideline. That just helps everything work. And again, Chevron have done the zone, and the free player, the poach player, is very far away from the disc. Rich Gale's got his hands up in the air.
Sidation's cottoned onto it now. It's probably, potentially it's man now.
Yeah, the Chevy sideline was counting the passes there. You often play a zone to a particular number of passes, and they're now strictly man on. So Emo can get back in their structure. They've got 4 handlers back at the moment. That's not helping, but they've got it back to the Colonel.
It's so handy when you've got a high stall count to turn around and know you've got Dan Fennell behind you. He's so quick in that first 3-4 steps of running his dump cut. Ooh! Rich Gale goes deep to Benedict Poole, and he just drops it with his left hand. Do you think
he went one-handed? That's a little bit of a lack of concentration. He's clearly upset. He had a bit of a swipe at the disc with his boot.
I think you can tell his reaction. He knows he could have done better.
Yeah.
Just get 2 hands on it, get your knees dirty.
There's
a
lot
it's not
of
gonna be a great layout, but you've just got to make sure of it so you're not fully stretched.
And there's been a few too many of those errors. There's a few heads down from Emo. They don't look like they believe they'll get back into it. Turns happen, mistakes like that happen, but maybe collectively they're just not quite up for fighting as hard as Chevron are to get the result in this game.
So Poole's poaching deep again, and Chevron do, as you say, they flood one side, lots of space. Mark Fandango, easy cut for him really. It's a long cut, but it's easy. Chevron moving the disc quickly, not necessarily for yards, they're just moving it. Matt McLaughlin just driving things at the back. He's having a great season, Matt McLaughlin. I've never seen Matt play this well. He was really good at Worlds. Ooh! Steve Dixon flies, can't get his hand with it.
Jackson forces a little flick IO, and Dixon at full extent couldn't get it. So
but again, Emo picking the disc up on the downwind sideline, not where they want to be, not where they've had success.
No.
They want to get this. Colonel wants to pick it up and just get it to Cheeseman, and then Cheeseman can hit Gale, and then they can play from there. There we go.
Yeah, McLaughlin again poached off the centre handler to slow the movement to that cutter.
I think they know that the Emo players for that guy on the sideline to dive in field, and Sam Bowen
goes big again.
Sam Bowen.
Fox. That's a couple of great plays Sam's made.
Sam Bowen's been big this game. He's made. I saw him play in Worlds, and he got a couple of Ds that were outrageous, and he's just got another one there. That's Emo's primary deep receiver, primary goal scorer, and he's just shut the door on him in that play.
And maybe like Bevan earlier, he sort of positioned himself nicely to be inside the offensive cutter to say, I know they're going to throw this to him, and I'm ready to make my play. And boy, did he.
Yeah, he'll have sized that one up for about 15 meters back.
And a nice little replay there. Emo again frustrated, and Jackson runs this down. It's the lead pass down the sideline.
Jackson holsters the backhand blade to Dixon. Sam Bowen gets up again.
He's got such flair, and now he just pings it in. And McLaughlin gets in.
McLaughlin with the goal.
And Chevy ignore McLaughlin and give Bowen all the praise there.
And Bowen thoroughly deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, gets the layout block and then throws a break mark assist.
And the hair as well. He's got great hair, which I think makes any.
So he says
great.
he washes twice and conditions once.
What, in the shower every single time? That is a lot of hair care.
But he's a teacher. He's got the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So McLaughlin and Bowen just walking off arm in arm. It's good to see. It's good to see. I think Bowen. He looks like he took a bit of a hit on that block, but it didn't stop him. But you can kind of see, yeah, he's puffing. He's puffing. Whew.
Yeah.
Tough point for him, but he's got the kudos of his teammates.
And he's got a big crowd on the sideline that he just needs to remind, you know, I was the guy on that play.
Yeah.
I worked hard.
You walk to the crowd sideline after you've made a play like that.
Absolutely.
You don't go stand, by the bags on your own.
No. You wanna maybe talk to an opposition player, just say hi. Remember me from the field doing that great thing just there. You know, that's the sort of play.
I'm really happy. You're really glum.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
It's a good time to congratulate the opposition on their efforts, knowing that you are much better than them.
Nice shirt, mate.
Yeah. Aspen now, big pull.
That is a big pull. That's a big pull against the wind. The wind's died a bit, but
Chevy is still chasing hard. They send 5 players down to.
And they're playing their zone. Cy
field.
Dathan with his back to the disc, just looking around, pointing to Jake Aspen. It's kind of like a 2-3-2, isn't it? It was very fluid, very easy for them to transition into man.
And they're a bit loose here, yeah.
You can hear them shouting tequila. That's it. It's man. Dathan goes to Povey.
Yeah. And Cartwright still hung out deep there, even though they've gone to man.
Well, I think that's just good. Ooh, spicy jump ball.
Oh.
Ooh, standing on someone. I think that's good zone play. As a deep guy, you want to be the last person to match
you
up.
need to make sure the rest of your team is matched up and covering that deep throw. They've originally been expecting you to stop it, and so even on the transition, you need to make sure everyone's switched on to their new responsibilities. Nothing
more embarrassing than transitioning from zone to man and instantly getting beaten deep.
Absolutely, it happened to me only earlier today. They let me on for a D point. That was clearly the mistake.
Well, and hopefully they learned their mistake, and that will never happen again.
Yeah.
So Winder and Powley just having a bit of chat. Penny on his haunches, looking earnestly into Winder's eyes. Winder painting him a story with his imagination brush.
Yeah, it's a 4-man conversation here. 2 players from off the field and 2 players from on it. We can get all perspectives. They should get us involved, Dave.
I think we should be allowed to go down there and say that I like the red shirt.
Yeah,
it's a good colour of red, actually. It's not too aggressive. What do you think happened? Just go out there and say it.
Well, I think Winder had a couple of steps ahead. Powley was coming in to make the play, and I think Winder kind of stopped. He stopped in front of the path Powley was moving, and that sort of led to contact. He clearly lost a shoe, so it was quite grievous contact. But I think it did stop Winder maybe making the catch. He had position, so
I think Winder was doing that thing where you kind of fish him in. He's going deep. He knows it's going to go over his head, so he just takes one step and then pushes off.
Yeah.
Powley didn't buy it. Powley just kept going, and then as Winder's taking his other step off, they both collide.
Yeah.
I think Winder had position to get the disc from there. I think Powley just gets a stud inside his boot or something, and
he
Winder
just comes
hits
in.
it
I think he was expecting Winder to have made the play, to be making a play for the disc, and Winder was still in boxing mode, and that's why it came back. And so I think the contest was probably on whether or not Winder was going to actually catch it.
I think they probably, and I think both players feel the other initiated contact.
Yeah.
So it goes back after a nice long chat, and they're good friends now. They've swapped phone numbers.
Yeah.
So Tom Cartwright just checking it in. Is that Sachs? That's Sachs Dixon finds Fennell, and this is what Emo want. Emo want to get the disc into Fennell's hands, hit their veterans, Dave Povey, another veteran. Yep. And then find their big man for the goal.
Yeah, that's classic. That's a nice play. They managed to isolate Fox one-on-one in the back of the end zone, and it's pretty hard as a defender to stop him getting free somewhere. Povey had the throw to find him, and that's game over.
The Chevy D got very committed, very focused on that front cone as the emo sack kind of drifted into it, and then Povey with a power position sells his mark off, and it's an easy break throw. It's nice, kind of indoors-esque, I would say.
A nice around throw just into the space, and that's the goal. So the score is 10-5. There is still a big gap, a gulf, if you like, between a gulp, yes.
A gulp.
A gulp.
A gulp. So if we're going to have a game, we need to see Emo get a block, and I think it can't just be, they take whatever they can get, but I think they need to get a block.
Yeah.
They need to get a layout on one of the primary chevron options.
Something
to really
that's
get
more
the team
than
going.
Just a change of possession. Something that will fire up their team.
They need a statement.
Get the sideline excited, get them excited, and maybe just dampen Chevron down a bit, because they're playing with their peckers up, and they're playing well.
I like this matchup. Bobby with a hand block. Dav contestant. I was just about to say I like this matchup. Bobby and Dav. It's that's a really, really good matchup, I think.
Yeah.
Bobby's got one of the few people who's got enough pace to handle Mark Davin.
Dav faked and then made the same throw, and so I think Bobby's saying, well, I was stationary. I had my hand in front of the fake, and then you threw it into it. That I suspect is his call, but the disc is back in now.
Bobby with a good active mark, using his whole 6'4", and Dav goes deep, and that has gone to Cowie of all people, and Rich Cowie. Benedict Poole with a D.
That is a nice D.
That is a good D. That young man, I think he's new to the team this year. He's just gotten a couple Ds, couple goals, couple Ds in the air. He knows what he's doing when he gets off his feet.
So now Emo, they've got that turn. Can they convert it? They're on the downwind sideline. Some nice tight D from Chevron, but
get the dump out.
Can they complete the swing across the field? They can't, so they're back on the downwind sideline.
Emo just need to move the disc a bit quicker. The way Chevy moved the disc, they needed to just get that disc moving, attack down the left-hand side of the field, but they get fixated on the open side and just overshoot.
Yeah, they weren't able to generate any flow there, so they completed a couple of passes, but they didn't do it dynamically to change the angle. Sometimes when you make a couple of quick passes, and we're just seeing a nice.
We're just seeing the D.
And now Kine puts it deep.
Kine puts it deep. James Mead
not quite.
Can't track it down.
So that was a great D by Poole.
I'd quite like to see Emo just quick start this. So we've got Emo run into the disc, and the other 6 players are being quite slow to get things going. When Matt Bevan got his block, they scored in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We want Emo to do the same. Get going, have some urgency, catch Chevron off guard, but they're more content to go slowly, as if they're the team in front almost.
Yeah, and it allowed Chevron to set up some poaches around their stack, so it sort of plays into how Chevron want to play D against this team. And so now Emo, they've got it on the upwind. There's a pick called.
And a drop.
The pick was called a long time ago, so I think Poole probably knew that wasn't going to matter. And so Emo are back in their stack, and we'll see now whether they can convert on the second go this possession.
It's Phil Brunson, number 88. He's doing a good job for Emo, just bossing this D-line offense, just getting the disc, give it back to me if you can't find something.
And he's gone deep.
He's gone deep. He's gone deep. He's challenging Caesar deep. And Ben Poole has been making all the cuts. And Joe Winder decides it's Bobby time. And Rich Cowder's there. Bobby's there. Ooh. There's no call. So that looked like a clean D or a clean drop.
Yeah, I think all 4 players got maybe just a little too much under it.
Yeah.
They sucked everyone into the same position.
Kind of the way Winder threw it was good. With the shape, I like that, but because he had to throw it slightly into the wind, it just slowed it down enough that instead of having Bobby with his man at his back, we've got Bobby he's trying to Bobby in a crowd.
Yeah.
And it just hung long enough for those Chevron defenders to get there.
Chevron are now running hard again. And
Cowie goes to Dav, and Bobby gives chase. Oh, and it's hanging, Oh, and there's a sort of interesting foul call where foul's called while the disc is in the air. The defender stops and contests, and then offense catches it for the goal, just to make sure.
No, I think this was an offensive foul that
Dav
Bobby was calling.
I think Dav was calling foul. Dav was calling foul on the boxing aspect. I think Bobby ended up in front of Dav. We've got a replay.
Yeah. See, Dav was in front, and Bobby
in front.
comes in.
Bobby gives him a little nudge there, and there's a foul call, and then Dav has it anyway. There is a nudge. I don't know.
Bobby has called foul on Dav here.
And Dav has called foul on Bobby. Now, there's definite contact, but do you think that that's a foul?
No, and Robert Coddington is stepping in and saying no foul, and he's persuaded Bobby to give it up.
Bobby is not happy about that. I think there is contact. I don't know. There comes a point where you say you have to be stronger, but Bobby sprinting and hitting you from behind, no matter how faint, that's probably gonna put you off.
Yeah, I agree.
Mark Penny getting involved.
Yeah,
it's an entitlement as a captain, as is Rob Coddington's.
So maybe the captains should Rochambeau for this.
Yeah.
So only one of them can have their say. So they have a little Rochambeau on the sideline. The winner of that gets in to explain his point of view, and that would keep the discussion a little shorter.
I think it's going to go back.
Well, yeah. I mean, Chevron scored the goal. Dav caught it in the end zone. It was a nice throw from Cowie.
A few whistles from the crowd.
And it is a goal.
It's a goal.
It's a goal.
It's a goal. I'm totally wrong. So a goal from Dav. Bobby's not happy about that, but I think his team have basically talked him out of the call.
Yeah. Is that surrendering? At a 10-5, you've got the disc a couple of times. You have a chance to maybe revamp your team to get excited.
I don't think so.
A crucial point.
I think Coddington's just decided, from his perspective, he's the captain. This is going on long enough. He thinks it's not a foul. Thinks it should be a goal, and rather than let this drag out, he's just said, as is his responsibility, I guess. This isn't a foul. Take it back. Let's get going on the game. It's not surrendering. In fact, it'd be pretty poor form if he were just to uphold it to give them a chance of getting back into this.
Yeah, we've just seen a replay of the earlier huck that Winder put up to Bobby. Not complete, and then Cowie was able to make the play to Dav, so they switched their usual roles.
Both interesting throws, both
spicy.
Spicy.
Like to call it. A little interesting.
Not at the hospital pass level of spice, but certainly jump balls.
Jump balls, absolutely. We all practice that.
We do.
Well, I practice putting them up there so other people can jump.
So Mark Penny going for the bouncy, rolly, bladey pull, and is fielded well by Dave Povey. Centres this to Fennell. This is what Emo want, and they've isolated Coddington. Oh, and Rich Gale.
Went over Coddington's head.
That's why Rich Gale is one of the best players in the country. Because even when he's not really doing anything, he's doing something. Ooh! Povey gets his hand on it. He's tweaked a hand. There's a hamstring gone. Matt McLaughlin knows about that, so he rushes over. And he just sort of asks him, where'd you get your hat?
Yeah. Would you like the nickname Fragile, perhaps? I know
now's not the time.
Good season, so maybe he's looking to rid himself of that.
And Povey goes off, injury. Ben Poole looks like he's walking on. Taps the disc in. Chevron declined to make a substitution.
Was James Jackson already on the pitch? And
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, this would be an as expected.
Mark Penny. Mark Penny decides to go around, go big and go spicy. James Mead going deep on Fennell. Ooh! Oh, Fennell brings the lumber. Just, does he hit Mead in the air, or does Mead catch something?
Yeah, there looked to be some sort of coming together. I mean, it seemed Mead never got to full extension on his jump. Whether
discussion.
Yeah, whether the initiation of the contact was Fennell or whether it was the way Mead jumped, it's not clear.
Fennell seems to be taking the approach that he did hit, put Mead off his jump.
And that Mead would have caught it. We saw Mead take a nice grab earlier, so that's probably a good call.
He's got ups, he's got grabs, knows what he's doing.
He's got
it
at the front of the end zone. And there's a pick called, I think.
Yep.
Or is it a travel? Or a stall out? There are so many calls in Ultimate.
Well, and it's frustrating that none of the players are reenacting anything, because that would really help us out now.
Yeah. It looks like the disc will stay with Jackson.
Jackson's not giving it up.
No, it's a good idea to hang on to it as long as possible.
Yeah.
It shows... Oh.
Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah,
he thought about doing something, but really...
He switched it back to his throwing hand as the commentator got excited that he was going to return the disc. He's calling
himself into holding it.
He's going to ground check it here. This is my favourite part in Ultimate, the ground check. Awesome.
Very
Great
controlled
form.
jump.
He looks like he works on that.
And Rich Coward just toes himself in very gently.
Yeah.
Rich Coward was Chevron's highest statting player at Worlds, and we all know that those stats were 100% accurate.
Absolutely, and he was just outside the top 10. I think he was maybe 11th or 12th at the tournament, so a great effort by Cowie. We know how strong a player he is. And he's got another one in this tournament.
I'm sure he's at the top, or if not near. In fact, we've got the stats here, so should we take a look while these two teams take a timeout?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Let's do a stat check.
So we're looking at the games played prior to this. Both teams will have played 2 games. Emo against Fire 2 and Reading.
So one number that jumps out from the Emo roster, Joe Winder, 3 goals, 7 assists in 2 games.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting a replay, I'm being told. This, people, if you're watching at home, this is why you watch Ultimate. Check out this ground check. Look at the form. Look at this squat form. Jackson, I know, works in the gym on his squat.
The control at the end, to not spike the disc.
Boom. Perfect. And now he's back straight up in a throwing motion in seconds.
Not a wasted muscle. Good lad.
Classic. You see, you don't get to do it as often in the UK as you do in places like the US, where you have to ground check after every catch.
So James Jackson, not only a world-class ground checker, he's also got 4 assists and 1 goal today. So he's not just doesn't just know the rules. He's playing well. Rich Coward, 2 goals, 5 assists.
5 assists.
That's it's normally the other way around, but just ahead of him, Matt Bevan with 3 goals and 5 assists.
Wow, that's great.
That's a good performance from Bevan.
Bevan, I know I've seen him here with his wife and his baby. He's a family man now, but he's still bringing it on the field.
His mum and his dad and...
Family Bevan are in attendance.
Family Bevan are an ever-present, really. They're part of the Chevy sideline is wildly made up of supportive mums and dads.
What are the snack selection or other support that those Chevy players, family members bring to the sideline? Is that important to them?
Moral.
Okay.
I guess if you come from a loving, well-balanced family, sort of it brings something from home, keeps you comfortable, you know, makes you warm in your tummy.
Yeah, even if you put a flick cut that's really bladey and it turns over, you know that your family will support you.
Exactly. So Chevron come with... Ooh. Hovey puts one up to a completely free Fennell in the end zone of all places.
And that boy's been practicing his spikes.
That boy does... I wouldn't let him ground check it. So Chevron there, in that point, they come with their zone, the kind of pokesy set, and immediately Fennell, in the dump position, takes off, goes through the cup, tries to find some holes, and get that disc moving. A nice, safe, kind of 2, 3, 4 yards, finds the hole, gets it, moves it laterally, gets it outside that cup. And Chevron are kind of in tatters, and that's the play that then Povey is able just to uncork his backhand and hit the big man Fennell.
Yeah, there was no real pressure from the zone that time. They were all quite static. It didn't cause any trouble to Emo, and they played through it. But it's been a great tactic. Chevy have a 12-6 lead here, and so that zone has played a big part in giving them that advantage. So Dave, it looks like all the other games have finished. The fields are clear. The crowd is, reasonably large. It always feels slightly strange playing on this field because there's no crowd sort of close, scuffing the sidelines, setting up dates for later in the evening, and that sort of crowd interaction is missing.
It's kind of like a ghost crowd because you get the noises, but it's not in your immediate universe. So your kind of universe is 3 or 4 meters around the sideline, but you can still hear people cheering and people applauding and people booing when there's calls.
Maybe in this situation we need to be put over a tannoy so the players can hear what we have to say about how they're playing.
I mean, I think that's the only way this tournament could be improved.
Yeah.
So Davin, of all people, inbounds it to the brick mark. Marked by
Cowie.
Zamore.
He's going to bung it to Cowie.
Probably going to bung it to...
No,
Cowie being marked by Benedict Poole, the springy young lad. Jackson, big attack on that. He's been marked by the bigger Sax Dixon, and he uncorks a backhand
to Parsons.
To Ben Parsons. That is...
Back of the end zone. That is some sweet ultimate.
That is probably what we associate with Chevron. Or what we used to associate with Chevron is 1, 2, 3, hit the big man.
Yeah.
They didn't quite hit the big man, but they did go 1, 2,
goal.
and then a big throw, and that was...
Yeah, they were able to isolate their cutters really well there. It was one-on-one battles. They won them all, and here we see Jackson getting the disc under, and he turns, and he knows there's someone going deep. He looks across the field, he sees that it's Parsons, gives a little
just
fake.
Coming in your screen now.
And now he can just rip this nice backhand.
And he does a good job of control. He's thrown that hard, but he's not thrown it too high, so it's not going to get picked up by the wind. And then Parsons is only like a yard free, but flight of the disc, the quality of the throw, just means it's an easy catch for Parsons.
No pressure, and 13-6 now. Chevier just 2 points away from returning to the final of UKU Nationals 2014. Will the pressure get to them? Will we see a little wobble? They seemed a little flat on their last D point. Their zone wasn't quite as pumped. Can Emo take advantage here?
Well, it's the end of a long day, so you've got to think that tiredness is affecting both teams.
Yeah.
I think Chevron will do it. I'd like to see Emo get a couple of breaks just for resolve, because they've got, like fire, they've got a big data. Oh,
Cheeseman again.
Did he decide to not throw something as he was throwing it, or did it just fall out of his hand?
It didn't seem to come out right. He had quite a wide foot stance, and I don't think once he'd pivoted out that he ever really got back in control.
Fandango just went past Dave Povey like he wasn't there. That's a fast cutter. And Dixon creates a lot of attention, leaving Fandango again just to dance his way into the end zone.
Just to sneak into a little pocket of space in front of the disc. Chevron pumped up, they came down hard, they played good D, and they've got the break. They are now just 1 point away, and you have to say that they have been a class ahead of Emo on this performance. We know that over the season those teams have been closely matched, but on this performance it looks like Chevron have raised their game for Nationals.
I think the energy they brought is the same as it was in the beginning, really. Emo kind of looked like those few early breaks that Chevron got have really affected Emo badly.
Yeah, we're just seeing Parsons again.
There's a great throw from Jackson. Yeah. But those early breaks that Emo gave up and then never got back, it just dampened them a little bit, I feel. Normally Emo's a really loud team. They make a lot of noise. They've got a few songs that they like to sing. We haven't heard those today. We've heard a lot of the Chevron youth screaming their heads off. But not so much Emo.
I think going back to our comments about the crowd and it feeling like a ghost crowd, certainly in our semi-final, it also felt quite flat, and the energy both from the players and the crowd wasn't there. You know, sometimes you need that just to bring out that extra level of performance, and it's a little bit of a shame. But Emo now with one last point here to get another one on the board. They'll have more big games to play for tomorrow to qualify for Europeans, so
It's a long weekend.
yeah, they want to stay positive and playing ultimate. And Gale just
Gale.
has a little bobble.
If there's anyone on this team that isn't going to make that silly concentration error, it's Rich Gale. He almost does, but then Emo just run some really nice break side offense, break the mark, and then have someone just cutting laterally.
Yeah, they were unable to do that early in the game. As you say, those early breaks for Chevron seem to take the wind out of Emo's sails, but they are still a good team, a strong team, and I do fancy them to do well, to get to Europeans, and to prove their mettle once again.
Absolutely, and I think this is a team that can finish highly at Europeans. I think top 8 isn't beyond them. They were great at Worlds, and I think, but I think for teams like Emo that are just starting to play at that level, it's not simply a case of playing well at Worlds and then playing at a level below that for the rest of the season. They need to learn how to pick up that performance level in every single game, at every single tournament, and that, at the minute, I'd say that's the difference between Emo and Chevron. I'd be interested to see Emo play Fire, see if Emo seemed to be on a little bit of a lull after, say, a hangover after Worlds. I'd like to see them take Fire, who are a team who have been trying to build all year and are trying to hit the ground running for this tournament. But yeah, that's the next step for this team. More consistent, high-level performances, and I don't think it's beyond them.
No, absolutely, and I think it does sometimes underrated that you need a couple of years being in these games to have the confidence and belief that you can actually come out with a win. And that will be something they'll be looking to do.
Because they certainly believe they can win against other big European teams.
Absolutely,
Everyone else, they're fully confident they can beat. And they're probably confident they can beat Chevron. They've beaten them once this season already. But today's just not been their day. Chevy have come out with a bit more pizzazz as Matt Bevan goes deep for Ben Parsons. Joe Winder gets up.
Yeah, there's some big ups there from Winder. And now Willie Yackett. Willie Yackett. Oh, no.
He holsters.
That's good conservative play.
He holsters to Tink. And now they're in the position to yak it. Now they want to get the disc to Winder so he can find Bobby. And they give it to Tink, and Tink just goes big, but Caesar gets the block deep.
Nice one-handed catch from Caesar. A variety of fakes, and he gives it to Dav. And unsurprisingly, Cowie now has it.
And Cowie holsters. I did not expect that.
No, Parsons seemed to have some steps, but Cowie may be mindful that Chevron had already turned once, just decides to play it safe. They'll use their legs to work this point.
Tink does a good job of getting across and just spoiling that up line cut for Dav. Oh, and Dav just gives him the double move.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm leaving the area. Oh no, I'm not. Boom.
Lovely hips, and he scores at the front cone. And Chevron deserved winners. That's 15-7, a bit of a spanking, one might say.
I would say that is a blowout.
Yeah.
I think as much as Worlds has been a big performance for Emo, I think this game they're going to look back at it and realise that it's kind of...
Yeah, they'll be disappointed. Some prime time viewing and up to, I don't know, maybe even 100 viewers watching this stream.
Oh, I assume thousands.
Thousands, okay, yeah.
61 viewers.
Thank you, all 61. I hope you've enjoyed this commentary.
That's basically one parent for every player out there, plus a few extra.
Yeah.
Plus our parents.
None of their girlfriends watch this game.
They've got better things to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up today's semi-finals. Tomorrow we've got the open final at 1 and the ladies' final at 3, I believe. So, Jamie, you won't be joining us for the open final because you'll be playing. So, all the best.
Yeah, as long as I don't injure myself tonight, I will be out there on the field playing up for those 61 viewers. That's my inspiration.
Okay, so have a nice evening. See you tomorrow.
Bye.